Ooh. I gotta hold it together. That was a nice video. I probably should have watched it before I walked out here. Thank you. This is really an incredible honor, and honestly one that I never imagined I would even be receiving. I'm not even gonna try to not make this sound like a cheesy Oscars acceptance speech. So now that we're all on board, I wanna thank my mom, because obviously. To Chris Norris at the Yale Peabody Museum for nominating me for this award. To Dave Dyer, the very first person who encouraged me to volunteer in the Philip L. Wright Zoological Museum in 2010, and who was integral in my development as a museum advocate. Because of Dave, I learned not only the nuts and bolts of museum work, but also the importance of embracing the fun and weirdness of our day-to-day work. Because you never forget the first time you have to rehouse a dozen bighorn sheep, right? To Hank Green, who saw my potential and helped me make my dream of being a science communicator into a reality. Heather Shue for funding that first trip to Chicago so that I could see what a natural history museum on a much different scale actually looked like. And to Richard LaRiviere, the Field Museum's president and CEO. Richard, you took a pretty big chance by offering me a landscape painter with a YouTube channel, a full-time job in one of the world's premier scientific institutions. But I appreciate that your one stipulation for my job was that I must have fun. And of course, to the rest of the Field Museum staff, members, viewers of the Brain Scoop, thank you for making the last 4 years the most interesting and educational of my life. I've often heard that an award can say about as much about the person who is receiving it as it does about the organization granting it to them. That the American Alliance of Museums sees value in the sort of unconventional work I do with the Field Museum speaks to this community's commitment to innovation. It's rewarding to be working in a professional field that not only says it wants to challenge itself to change and diversify, but that also recognizes when those changes are being made and acknowledges the challenges that exist in order to do so. It didn't take long after I started at the Field Museum that I was asked the question. You know, the one I'm talking about, the return on investment question. You laugh because you know. And I completely understand. We want to make sure we can not only cover, but also recover the cost of any new program in our institutions. But for a while, I had no idea. I just didn't have an answer, and luckily enough for me, nobody else did either. But in the 4 years I've been making videos for the Field Museum, we've seen some pretty interesting things happen. We've been able to raise $155,000 from 1,500 donors from all over the world to build that first full-scale permanent habitat diorama at the museum, the first in more than 5 decades that now can be viewed for decades to come. And we know that a portion of our on-site visitors today say they were motivated to come because they've seen our YouTube show. But there are other metrics that are more difficult to quantify in terms of their importance. Today, almost half of our video views come from outside of the United States. And every day I receive letters from parents about their kids' newfound fascination with insects or birds or bats, and from high school students who now have a vision for their futures in terms of careers they could follow or new areas of study to pursue. I read notes from people from all over the world who now see their local museums in a new light and who are inspired and prepared to work within their local communities to make sure those institutions are supported. I share these victories because I think they are to be celebrated by everyone in the museum field. It is because of the investment of so many people here, the willingness by colleagues across the spectrum to look at outreach, community engagement, and communication in a new light that I have seen such success in this field. So on that note, I'm completely honored to receive this award, and I look forward to many more fruitful years working within this community. Thank you.